Hello there, and a very warm welcome to another edition of Channels Beam. I'm Victor Matthias. Now, as the world embraces technology in all of its ramifications, some have made it a point of duty to ensure the space is safe and secure, especially for those who have made online activities a major part of their daily activities. Now, with the month of February 11th to be precise, earmarked as the Safe Internet Day, this edition of the program will beam its searchlight on what the do's and don'ts of the internet are in order to ensure a safe online/internet experience. Plus, we bring you highlights from the first Google developer space in Africa. But let's first refresh your minds on what made the trends in the past week.
The ruling of the Supreme Court on the Bielsa election got tongues wagging as many couldn't contain their disappointment as well as their joy. For members of the APC, it was a sour taste in their mouths, while members of the PDP held the judgment. Hashtag Valentine's Day 2020. People all over the world celebrated with their loved ones, a day set aside to mark the celebration of love. While some sent gifts, others sent messages to reassure each other of their love for one another.
Well, there you go. Those were the trends in the past week, but we have with us in the studio Mojisola Alabi. Thanks. It's a pleasure to have you in the program today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, we also have Adedoyin Adedeji. Thanks as well for being on the program today. Both of you cybersecurity experts. Safer Internet Day was celebrated last week. There was so much buzz about it on the internet, of course, as always. You would think that the internet is this glorious place that people, make a lot of stuff, make friends, trivial updates and all of that. So what's the idea behind the celebration of the safeness now, or the safety first and foremost?
The UK's Safer Internet Centre started the initiative in 2004 with the basic idea of a lot of users, internet users, they don't have the knowledge. They don't know how to be safe online, and they don't know that the only way others can be safe online is when you are safe and you use the internet technology responsibly. When you are responsible, which means what you post, your comment, you are not vulgar with your comment, you are not offensive with your comment. Yeah, and how you put it out there, and also for you to report if you notice. So those are those responsibilities that are upon the internet users. So as time goes on over the years, it's kept spreading to different regions such as Africa, Asia, and all that. So 5 years ago, we joined in the campaign, in the partnership and the support, that Center for Cyber Awareness and Development, because it aligned with our aim, which is cyber responsibility for internet users. Yes, because we want people to know that you have to be responsible
online.
You have that responsibility. You have a role. Not that, oh, internet is there, let me start using. No, you have a responsibility.
All right. She's pretty much made a mention of your responsibilities, but so what would you say are the do's and don'ts, of being online or while you're using the internet?
I think in this generation that we are in, I think generally we are charting a course that we've not really explored before as collectively. Okay, so at this time that we are in, we are in a time where we need to explain to young people the dangers of what they are using and the benefits so that they can differentiate between the two. Okay, so one of the do's that we do recommend to a lot of young people is, first of all, learning. Okay, the internet is there for you to learn. We tell a lot of young people we work with that we are in a generation we consider to be one of the luckiest generation, simply because you can learn almost anything you want to learn today. without leaving the comfort of your room. You can learn almost anything you want to learn. Compared to years past where you have to go to school, you have to do all that.
You
Today,
have video tutorials
education
now.
is at your fingertips right now. Okay. Another thing also is the right connections. That's another do. Having the right connections, meaning that you can connect with people, you can connect with mentors, you can connect with people that are doing a lot of awesome things across the world today. Some of us today, like for example, during our program on Tuesday, we had a lady from McAfee speaking to our students, right from Ireland, all the way from Ireland to in Surulere, and she was speaking to students in Surulere.
Yeah.
Okay, that's based on connection.
Yeah.
All right, so we're able to bring her in. She's a global expert in these things, and she was able to speak to the students directly thanks to technology.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what connection can do. That's the power of the connection. And in terms of the don'ts, well, I think misinformation is one of the biggest issues we are having today. So how do we help young people to identify misinformation and disinformation? These are one of the things we have to look at, and we also have to look at cyberbullying. Those are the things that a lot of people don't see how difficult or how bad it is. Okay, they don't consider that, okay, cyberbullying, I can just drop a comment today, and because I'm anonymous online or because nobody cares to look for me, there are millions of users, so it doesn't really matter. So we have to let young people understand that cyberbullying is also as difficult as physical bullying.
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing both of you have made mention of is the young. I mean, the young. Why is that, or the young people, pupils, children, let me just put it that way. Why are we particular? Is there a catch them young mantra or campaign, so to speak?
That and more.
Yeah. Okay.
Because because most individuals that are internet users, they need knowledge. And in order for you to be accustomed to using a particular tip or style or how to be safe online, is what should be built in you over time. It's not that you just, get to know it. But once it's in you over time, you get used to it. It will be part of your habit and how you go about your activities online. You'll be able to recognize that, yes, this internet technology evolves, so you too need to evolve as well, because all these fraudsters, scammers online, they evolve on different ways on how to get through to people too, by just using fake postcodes or call codes, and before you know it. So it's more of that. Yeah.
All right, let's quickly get to introduce Ebi Wagoy, who joins us from Abuja via Skype. Ebi, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Hi, Victor. Thank you so much for having me.
So pretty much we've been pretty much a lot of water has gone on the bridge since the program started. But I mean, not too long ago, we heard about stories of how people are being recruited online now to join terrorist groups. And one of the things you do online is preaching against violent extremism. So how do we bridge that gap? How do we get that to stop? How do we sensitize people, so as to be able to avoid being recruited online?
Okay, so I know that the conversation is basically about, internet safeness and like why the internet is so great and everything. One of the things that we basically focused on when we were doing our campaign, which is Women Against Violent Extremism and I'm a Believer, we were thinking more or less about the demographic that's mostly affected, e.g. women, and also really young people as well, who are seeking for a purpose, who are seeking for things that they feel like they need to do to feel like they've accomplished something in life, they can belong somewhere. So we created a community of people, especially people that we know that can identify with them, and we created messages that we know that they can identify with as well, by deploying these messages online, especially using text. We also thought about people who are either disadvantaged in urban areas, people who have the money to spend on data. Is like, what would they want to watch? What would they want to look at? You can create videos, you can do posters. I mean, the most important thing is your messaging at the end of the day, and what that they're going to listen to. What are their interests? What are the things that is going to captivate them online? So those are the things that I really feel like could really focus on trying to help young people and stop them from joining terrorist groups.
All right. So I mean, that was just one part, but Also, I'm looking at the fact that your demographic that you made mention of women now and children. The guest here in the studio also talked about being particular about the young people. I mean, children, school students, and all of that. That pretty much is a concern. Why is that so?
Um, like I said, those are the ones that are basically affected by terrorist organizations that are being affected. Their parents are dead. Their relatives, whoever it is that they hold close to them, are, either killed or they're financially affected by the insurgency or any type of extremist narratives. They're the ones that are easily changed. They're the ones that are malleable. You can easily speak to them and change their perspective on things. And by using these words and these messages, you can easily draw them in and try to get them to change your perspective. A lot of young people are influenced by what they see. They're influenced by whoever it is that is in their life that they hold very close to them, that they hold very dear to them. And if, any terrorist group is preaching the same thing to them, it's obviously going to be an issue. So what you could do is create like a counter narrative or an alternative messaging that they know that they can identify with.
All right, Abi, I'd have to say thank you for joining us on the program today and sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So she's talking about how you create campaigns, how you maybe create groups or organize seminars like both of you have done, to organize. Like you said, this has been going on since 2004 now, the UK version. But it seems this 2004 is like 16 years ago, but we keep having these problems. What are we supposed to do differently?
Okay. I think what we are supposed to do differently still has to go back to government and the educational system that we have. We still don't have a national plan on how to deal with the fallout of internet activities. What do I mean? Currently, as we are, the broadband penetration across the country is like 38%, according to NCC. Now, we are talking about all these issues because about 38% of our population are using the internet, and the target is to get as much as 70%. So now, if 38% of our population is still using the internet, and we're having all these issues we talked about, so what is the plan nationally for us to address these things? And the best way we can do that is going back to our educational system, where each school needs to create a plan, like an internet safety plan, educational plan, where we let young people understand the consequences of what they do. One of the things I think we have seen over the years in some of these campaigns we do is more and more involvement of teachers. More teachers are getting involved. That's one of the positives from what I can.
So pretty much we need to go back to the educational system
sector,
and have
yes.
a safety,
Have
safe
a
internet
safety,
module inculcated in the
into
curriculum.
our
What about for you?
For me, it's not all rested on the government's shoulders, in the sense that each individual is like a basic human right. You can't say internet is a privilege anymore.
No.
It's a right. So for you to have that personal and human right, you also need to be responsible. You need to be aware. It's like somebody that was, put in a desert and you were told you are in an Amazon. You'll be like, okay, it's an Amazon, but if you are not aware that you are in a desert, you will just be going by the way what you are told.
Yeah.
The government is responsible,
1,
the parents,
2,
the teachers,
3,
and also the internet users.
4.
We are all responsible, especially the young ones and the youth. Well, I don't know how they categorize the youth these days.
I know, right? We have pretty
But
much
then again,
whatever.
we are all
Responsible.
responsible for how it works, for how we are safe. It's not just the government, because if you are waiting for the government to do some things, it will come, but not at the time there is need. Because right now, the percentage of Nigerian population, 65% of it are young children and youth.
Yeah.
And the population is growing by the day.
Well, let's hope everything is put in place for all of these to be good, and so we can have a safe internet where everybody will be will do marvelous and wonderful things. But I have to say thank you as well for joining us on the program, Mojisola Alabi, as well as Adedoyin Adedeji, both of you cybersecurity experts. Thanks again for being on the program.
Yeah, thank you.
Still to come on the program, Google has launched the first developer space in Africa, We'll bring you highlights from that space in a moment. Please stay with us.